Alright, so here's my red-eared slider pond. Basically, it's pretty much a kiddie pool, and I have the water cycling through. I built a grow box, and that's I got some plants in there which eat the nitrates and then turn them into fresh water. It's basically just purifies the water, so I never have to do water changes on this tank. I have so many plants. I have then right here, this is all duckweed. I separate it from the turtles because they just eat that up. They really like the duckweed. So yeah, I keep that separate. I have some water cycling into it to keep the water fresh. And then I have a bunch of plants here, which this is basically my filter. It has a ton of rocks, and then planted in the rocks are aquatic plants, and they filter all the nitrates out of the water. Which means, because if you know anything about turtles, they're very messy. They poop a lot. They create a lot of ammonia, and the rocks that I have in this grow box here, it fosters the correct bacteria to break down that ammonia into nitrites. And then there's a different bacteria that turns the nitrites into nitrates. And the plants eat nitrates, so the plants purify the water for my turtles. As you can see, I have 5 in here. The reason why it's all separated is because certain turtles are more aggressive than others, and they'll pick on the less aggressive ones. So I basically separate my turtles. I have 5. In this little partition right here, I got 3 turtles. This male, so males, they're distinguished by, they've got longer claws, like as you can see here. You just went back in his shell. But yeah, the males have longer claws, but I'll put him in a little separate container because I don't want to have baby turtles, but every time I separate him, he finds a way to get back to the bigger females. So I've kind of just given up on that. And those plants you're seeing in there, that's duckweed. Because my little duckweed grow box, duckweed doubles in size every 48 hours under optimal conditions. So every 2 or 3 days I gotta take some out and I just put it in the pond, and it takes out the nitrates and it keeps the water clean, so that's pretty nice. But yeah, for red-eared sliders you need basking area, because that makes their shells and their bones stronger. They have to bask. If you don't allow them a basking area, it's not very good for them. They'll get sick. They really have to bask. It helps them regulate their inner body temperature because they're cold-blooded. And yeah, during the day they spend most of their time out of the water just basking. They tend to like pile up on each other, like right there. The males are a lot smaller than the females. This is a full-grown male sitting on top of my biggest female. And yeah, I got some crayfish, I got some koi in here, but it's pretty much a turtle pond. I spent like $15 to get this kiddie pool. It's lasted me over a year. I gotta get a new one soon because it's starting to spring a leak. But for turtles, they're so messy that you really need, well, you don't need it unless you want to do a ton of water changes. But I never have to change the water in this setup because, as you can see, I have a ton of plants. And the plants just eat the turtle waste and then turn it into fresh water. And if you look at the water, it's very clear, it's very clean. I haven't changed this water in probably over 8 months. It's the plants that do all the work. So grow box here, and my pump pumps it up into, I got a pump in there, it's like a 600 gallon per hour, and then I have ball valves that restrict the water flow. So a little bit of water comes into the duckweed grow bed, and then most of the water comes into this grow bed here, which, as you can see, the plants are thriving. It's pretty much aquaponics, but aquaponics, they usually use like vegetables and stuff. I'm not really gonna eat anything that's been fertilized by my turtle's shit. So, sorry. Yeah, this is my turtle pond. It's self-sustaining. I don't do any maintenance. The plants clean out the water, so it's very easy to care for. And also, I barely ever feed this tank because the turtles just eat the duckweed. See all that duckweed floating in there? They just eat that, so I don't really need to feed them at all. It's just they just bask all day, and they're really easy to care for, to be honest. As long as you have clean water and a place for them to bask. Red-eared sliders are very hardy, and they fertilize. Look at that whole grow bed is fertilized by the waste of these turtles. So it's pretty cool. That's my the water gets pumped out. It gets pumped into this grow bed and this one, and then it gets recycled back in, and the roots of these plants just take out all the waste. So it's completely self-sustaining. I don't have to do any maintenance. Yeah, if you're someone who like has a job, you don't have time to be changing water all the time, it's easiest, I think, just to set up a grow bed and then plant whatever you want in there, and then the nitrogen cycle, that's what the rocks do. They're housing bacteria, and that bacteria turns, it's a two or three stage cycle. The ammonia is created by the turtles. I think I've said this already. The ammonia is created by the turtles. The bacteria in the rocks in that grow bed turns that ammonia into nitrites, and then that nitrite by another bacteria in the rocks gets turned into nitrates, and nitrates is fertilizer. It's what plants feed on. So I'll take you over to look. This is my substrate. It's basically just rocks. It's just a bunch of little pebbles. I went to Home Depot. It was like $4 per bag. This is my Outflow system right here. I just drilled a bunch of holes in this. It was a vase originally. I drilled about 50 holes in there. So now the water flows in through this pipe over here. It's already grown over. I don't think you can really see it. There it is down there. Flows in right there, and then it goes through the rocks, gets filtered. The bacteria filters it, gets all the way to here, and now that it's here, this is pretty much fresh water. Right here, the plants, as you can see, I have a ton of plants. They just turn the water with a lot of nitrates into fresh water. Goes back to the turtles, and then it's a good cycle because you don't have to clean them. I'm sorry, you don't have to feed them, and you don't have to clean the tank. They eat duckweed. Duckweed is turtle food. It's fish food. So it always stays completely fresh, clear, clean water. So yeah, if you are trying to care for red-eared sliders, they're very dirty. So you want to have something where you don't have to keep. It takes a lot of time to keep changing the water once a week because, I don't know, me personally, that was kind of tedious. Yeah, this is my red-eared slider setup. Just a little kiddie pool. Probably cost me about $100 to make this whole thing. Originally, I just bought a couple, I forget the name of this plant. It's, oh yeah, hyacinth. And this is it's classified as invasive. You get one or two, and it breeds into this whole thing. It doesn't stop growing. Hyacinth. Yeah, self-sustaining. You don't need to do anything to this setup. When the water evaporates, I just add more. The water is always pure and fresh because I got so many plants, as you can see. At this point, I think I'm starting to say things over and over again, but yeah, this is a good setup. This works for me. So yeah, this is my red-eared slider setup. And the male is, I try to put him in his own little separation because I don't want him to, I don't want to have to deal with eggs and babies, because you gotta set up a whole nother, like 50% sand, 50% soil. It's just a lot of work. I don't really want to have baby turtles. But if you do, that's cool. You can set up a little thing. That's just not for me. But I keep putting him in his little separation right here, and he comes back right here to all the big females. He just finds his way. So yeah, this is my red-eared slider setup. It's pretty simple, pretty cheap. It didn't cost me very much money at all. The biggest expense was the pump, actually. It's like, got it on eBay for like 15 bucks, and it's like 500 gallons per hour. It was used, refurbished. And the plants, I bought like 1 or 2 hyacinth, and classified as invasive, so it just grows like you have no idea. It doubles in size every like 2 weeks. This whole box came from like one little plant. If you have the right conditions and you have enough sunlight, you're good. And duckweed is just food. Duckweed is also very, very cheap on eBay. This is duckweed. Right now it's the winter, so it hasn't been growing as much. But during the summer, this stuff doubles in size, doubles in biomass every 2 days. So you're always, I put my hand in, I take a, like, look at that, take that out, and just drop it in here. Simple. And then, yeah, you should do research on the nitrogen cycle, because that's very important. If you don't have enough bacteria to, you gotta cycle your tank, because you wanna house a lot of bacteria. The more bacteria, the better. Which is why this whole grow box is filled with rocks, because that's just bacteria for the setup. And yeah, I've had these turtles here for a long time, and I don't have to change the water. I've never had to change the water, actually. Just all these plants do the work for me. Like if you got a job, then plants are the way to go with turtles, because they purify the water. You don't got to do all these water changes. You just got to come out and watch them, feed them every once in a while. That's what the duckweed is. They just eat it, so you don't really have to feed them that much. But yeah, this video is going pretty long, so hope you enjoyed it. Thanks.